Listen to that engine, man. Listen to that bike, man. Listen to that sound. I know that this mic will not do this any justice, right? But you've got to believe it. It sounds brilliant. It sounds absolutely brilliant. Hello YouTube, Si here from Si Moto Photo. Welcome back to the channel. Spring's definitely sprung. It's a wee bit nicer now to get out and do bike reviews. My hands aren't falling off with the cold, and it makes all the difference in the world. It's great to get out in some decent weather, and I love this time of year. The start of the season, you just know you've got months of motorcycles ahead. Fantastic. But anyway, today I'm taking out the Scrambler 900. This is a bike I've been wanting to do a review on for quite a while actually. It's a really nice bike. I find it such a stylish looking bike, and I'm keen to figure out what this 900 engine's all about. I've had lots of people asking recently, is the 900 underpowered? And to be perfectly honest, I've never actually ridden it, so I'm looking forward to taking it out, putting it through its paces. I'm going to do a little bit of road, I'm going to do a little bit of sort of trail work with it as well. We'll do a wee forestry trail with it, and I'll kind of give you my thoughts on who I think this bike's aimed at and how the bike feels to ride. So I'm looking forward to doing this one. We'll put the drone up there and we'll get some pictures of it. So let's just see, and we'll take you out for this review. Right, so the Scrambler 900, what's it like? It's a really nice bike to sit on actually. When the seat, the first thing that struck me when I sat on the bike was how comfortable the seat is. It's like an Alcantara Swedi seat. I'll show you it when we stop. But it's a really quite comfortable seat to sit on. The bars are really wide, typical Triumph. It's got such a positive and smooth gear change. The gearbox just feels really quite precise when you knock it into gear. And it's a 5-speed gearbox that's in this bike. The gears are quite long on it, so you know it's perfectly fine. The one thing that's really standing out is how creamy the bottom end shove on the bike is. It's so torquey for a 900cc parallel twin. It's, you know, the power in the bike is right in the meaty part where you want it. And it just pulls really hard. It's made 4th gear, just pulling uphill, no problem at all. You know, the figures on the bike, they say the bike's got 80 newton meters of torque, and you know that's not bad. That is quite good actually, and it feels every ounce of the newton meters that it's got. It's all down in the low to mid range area on the bike. It certainly doesn't lack power. You know, you've got a 12 litre tank in this bike, so it's not the largest tank in the world that you've got, but I would imagine that, you know, you guys tell me in the comments, anybody that's got one of these bikes, what kind of miles you're getting out of a tank, because I know it's always difficult, unless you're living with the bike all the time, to sort of, you know, to tell how many miles you get out of a tank of fuel. But 12 litres in this tank is I think it's going to give you 130, 140 miles anyway. But let us know anyone else out there who's got one that's getting any different figures to that. But listen to the sound of it. That's just gorgeous. It sounds amazing. It sounds like a proper British parallel twin. Iconic sound. And you know, I don't know how Triumph do it with these exhausts on the modern classic range, but you know, they sound lovely. They sound nice and meaty. You know, they've got to go through all these Euro testings and all the rest of it, but they still sound amazing even in their standard format. It's a great sounding bike, it really is. Oh, big grouse. These things can be quite lethal out in these roads actually. Come round a corner and the thing's just standing in the middle of the road. It's a really quite narrow profile on the bike, being the parallel twin as well. So there's nothing intimidating about this bike. It's got a really nice feel about it. The way you sit on it just gives you, loads of confidence in the bike. It's for a scrambler type, it is a street bike, it is a road bike, but it's got some good scrambling capabilities which we can sort of have a wee go at in a wee while. I'll show you what it's like on a sort of forestry trail, but it feels agile, it feels perky, it feels good fun. It just feels like a good fun bike to ride. But it's the second one on board with Triumph. I've been so you kind of levitate towards the bigger bikes at first, just because it's got the headline, engine size. But the more and more that I try these bikes, and this is actually the first time that I've been out in this Scrambler 900, and the more and more that I try these bikes, the more and more I love them, and the more I can see why they make so much sense on the road. It's more fun, a bike like this. It's a less serious affair to actually go out and play with on the roads. That power delivery is so nice, by the way. If you were doing any serious touring on the bike, and you were maybe going through heavy rain and stuff like that, it might get a bit tiring, just because of the lack of protection and the exposure that you've got, or the nature of a naked bike. But if you're looking to do loads and loads of touring miles, this is probably not the right option. There are better options out there. But if you're looking for a bike to just blast about, do some street riding, a wee bit of sort of motorway stuff when you need to, a bit of off-roady stuff if you fancy it, then this is a really good option. And let's be honest, how cool does it look? It's a cool looking bike. You're running in a set of Metzler Tourist tyres on this bike, and I know that if any of you have been watching previous reviews I've done, that's a tyre that I've found since coming to Triumph. I was always a big Michelin guy, but the Tourist tyres I find really, really good actually. They're really good on the road, and when I'm doing any of these sort of little off-road trails, I find that they're perfectly adequate. I don't find as if I'm needing any more, but really, really good tyres. And from what the customers are telling us that come in, they seem to get good mileage out of them as well. It'd be interesting. I know that there's been a couple of channel subscribers that have put some comments on tyres. It is really helpful. Anybody, if you could stick your comments on how you find the tyres on the bikes. It's one of those dark arts tyres, and it's different tyres are different for different people, different feel for different people, but it's always good to get people's opinions on tyres, because you only ever get a set of tyres, or get to know a set of tyres, after you buy them and you've been living with them for ages. So anybody that's got any experience with these Michelin Touring tyres, please stick your comments down, let us know what you think of them, let me know if you'd buy them again. Thank you very much. And while I'm on the subject of thank yous, I want to just put a big special shout out to West Coast Triumph in Glasgow again, who give me the opportunity to ride these bikes. I am very lucky to work for that dealership, which makes life a bit easier getting the bike. But as always, take out all these reviews with a pinch of salt. It's just an opinion, get your own opinion, get your own ride of it, but in order to try and make things just a little bit easier to filter down to what bikes would suit you, I'm putting as many of these reviews up on the Triumph range as I possibly can to give you guys a wee bit of help. And from a what's it like to ride point of view. I try not to bamboozle the channel with stats and figures and all the rest of it. It's more about rider feel, and that's what it's all about, isn't it? Really, it's how a bike makes you feel. And this Scrambler 900 is just it's just lovely. I'm really enjoying it. Really enjoying it. I had a shot at the Scrambler 1200 recently, and that is a bit of a beast. It's quite tall. It's quite it's quite an intimidating bike, because it is a 1200 engine and it is a very tall bike. But this is the polar opposite. It's a lovely, nice, gentle, easy engine to get on with. It doesn't lack any power, but the way it delivers it is just lovely. And it's not a hugely tall bike, so I don't think this is an intimidating bike to ride at all. Anyway, let's head off the beaten track here and get a little shot out in the the trails to see what the bike's like in the trails. It's 223 kilograms in weight, so it's not the lightest bike, but it's definitely not a big heavy bike either. And that, you know, the 223 kilograms combined with the sort of low saddle height on it, it just adds to the ease of use when you're, you know, transitioning from side to side, or if you're, you know, trying to turn your bike round in a car park or something like that. It just makes it that wee bit more easy to manage, or that wee bit easier to manage. So here we go, get a nice little off-road trail here. It just takes us through a little forestry trail diff. I've done this route many times before, but it's always a good wee tester for how a bike handles when it's in an off-road situation as opposed to just the tarmac. So let's have a wee play with this and see what it's like. And it'd be interesting because this bike doesn't have adjustable suspension, so I want to see what its bump management's like. And so far it's actually doing really well. It's not juddery, it seems well damped. Now I'm 6 foot, I'm about 18 stone, so it's got quite a lot of weight on it with me, but it seems well damped, the bike. Yeah, it's going through this no problem actually. I've been through here before on some bikes and I've just getting bounced about everywhere, but it's definitely not like that. So you can do a bit of scrambling on it, no problem. I'm starting to really like this bike actually, and you know, with the Scrambler style on it, although you know you've got the 19-inch wheel at the front there, but you know you've got spoked wheels on it as well, so it's giving you that little bit more give if you hit any big boulders or anything like that when you're out and stuff like this. It just makes it, you know, less likely that you're going to damage your wheel or buckle your wheel. Well, that's the great thing of having the spoked wheels on the bike. It just helps out if you're going to take your bike in any sort of off-road situations. It just gives you that little bit more confidence that you can tackle stuff without being stuck out in the middle of nowhere with a blooming burst wheel or bent rim causing your tyre to bleed air. I would say that, you know, I'm 6 foot. I'm maybe a little bit tall standing on this bike. Normally the bars are a wee bit higher up and you can stand a bit straighter, but with this bike I feel as if I'm tucked over a little bit. You could do short trails on it, but I think if you were going to do lots off-road, I think, you know, unless you were under 5, maybe 5'10", 5'9", or less, that might sort of hurt your back a wee bit after a while, just hunched over, because I'm a wee bit hunched over on it. I have to say, I'm really impressed with the suspension on the bike. I was quite, not worried, but I was a wee bit apprehensive about how the non-adjustable suspension would handle doing that stuff, and it was not a problem to the bike at all. Gorgeous actually. So there we go, this is the Scrambler 900, and it's just, I've really enjoyed riding it actually. It's been really cool to ride. It's impressed me no end. I love how comfortable this seat is. It's like almost like an Alcantara suede type seat, and it's actually very comfortable to sit on. I just love the look of these twin silencers on the side, you know, the high level silencers. I think they just look really, really smart on that bike. They give it a real stylish look about it. The engine in the bike is 64 horsepower, but the USP of this engine is the fact that it's got 80 newton meters of torque, and it's so creamy. It feels amazing to ride. The power is where you want it to be. It's in that real sort of, you know, low mid-range, and the way it comes on, it's just so so smooth, so buttery. You know, bundles a grunt, and it's more than enough for the road. It's fantastic, and on the trails that we've done, it's more than enough for that as well. You've got your single disc at the front, and you've got a Brembo 4-piston caliper that's on it. The lever's got really good feel, and it's not. I think it's really quite forgiving for someone who doesn't want really grabby brakes, but they're still super progressive, and they give you lots and lots of feel through the brakes. You've got non-adjustable suspension on the bike, but the non-adjustable suspension seems to be set up really well. You know, I'm a big lad, and I feel that The suspension is well damped. I don't feel it's underdamped at all, neither on the front nor the back. The braking on the road, I was using the rear brake on the off-road stuff there, and the rear brake on it seems to be really fine as well. You've got a 12-litre tank on the bike, and this is a gorgeous paint colour actually. It's finished in carnival red with the 2 black stripes. Looks really nice. You've got a couple of modes in the bike. You've got rain and road mode. You've got a little bit of sort of intervention in the fueling and things like that when you put it into rain mode, which just makes the bike a little bit more forgiving. But you know, it's drummed down, it's less electronics on this bike, less things to go wrong, less things to worry about. It's back to basics, and it's just a cracking raw motorcycle. You've got 19-inch wheel in the front, and you've got a 17-inch wheel in the back, and these are spoked wheels, so you know, it gives you that you know, easier rollover without damaging the wheels, a wee bit more give in them. You know, for anyone that's wanting to go and take it out and do some trail work on the bike, you have got those wheels to give you a little bit of protection. You've also got a bit of a bash plate just under here to protect the bottom end of the bike from being absolutely smashed to bits on rocks and boulders. The seat height on the bike's 790mm. Now I'm 6 foot exactly, and I am a big lad, but I've got you know, my feet are absolutely firmly planted on the ground here. I've got a bend in my legs. I've not got really long legs. I've got a big blooming long torso, so my legs aren't overly long. I've probably got a 32-inch trouser leg. I don't know what that equates to the length of your actual leg, but when I buy a pair of trousers, it's a 32mm inside leg. 32-inch inside leg. I get 32mm. 32-inch inside leg I get. So my legs are bent on here, and I feel as if I've got absolute purchase on the ground when I'm sitting on the bike. The seating position is just a really nice commanding position. The bars are quite wide, they're quite raised. You just feel it's just a nice place to sit. Well, that was fantastic. I thoroughly enjoyed that. The Scrambler 900, or what used to be called the Street Scrambler. You know, since joining Triumph, you know, I was levitating towards the bigger capacity bikes just because they've got the headline engines, you know, the 1200s and 2.5 litres and God knows what else. But for me, the real impressive bikes for me have been these 900s, 660s. I've just thoroughly enjoyed riding these on the road. They've got such a nice, manageable power delivery, and you can access it and you know, really have some good fun on the road with those engines. This today is the first time I've ridden this Scrambler 900, and I've thoroughly enjoyed it. It's been great. It's so creamy. The bottom end of it's such a creamy, punchy power delivery. You would love this. You would absolutely love this to ride, and I love the styling of it. Look at this, you know, these twin silencers just finish this bike off. They just make this bike look really quite classic and stylish. You know, how can you not like this? It's gorgeous, and the seat's lovely as well. Very comfortable. You know, it's quite a low bike, low standover. It's not a heavy bike. It's not a super light bike, but it's not a heavy bike. It's nice and easy to manage. It's got a nice upright riding position. You know, it's dumbed down with the electronics, which just makes the bike a wee bit more raw, just a wee bit more motorcycle. I've enjoyed it. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I hope you've enjoyed it too. And if you have, please, if you could like the video and drop me a subscribe if you can. I've got lots of Triumph content coming, as you know, and I've got some Harley Davidson content coming very soon. So if you've got any interest in seeing any Harley content as well, then drop a subscribe and we'll get the stuff out to you in the next few weeks. But thanks again for tuning in to Moto Photo, and I look forward to catching you in the next video. Take it easy, man.